Hello guys, today we are going to the movie review. Movie name is American Graffiti 1973, directed by George Lucas in a nostalgic coming of age film that captured the essence of American youth culture in the early 1960s. The film is set over a single summer night in Modesto, California, and follows a group of teenagers as they navigate friendship, romance, and the uncertainties of growing up. Plot summary: the story revolves around Kurt Henderson, who is about to leave the college, and his friends, including rebellious on the sweet and say Terry and the Christmas-take Jones Millen as they cruise the streets in their cars, attend parties and experience new romantic encounters. The film explores themes of identity change and the fleeting nature of youth. Performance and cast: the film featured a talented ensemble cast including Richard Dreyfuss, Ron Howard, Paul Lemaitre, Charlie Martin Smith, and Candy Williams. Their performance authentically depict teenage angst and demands, bringing a genius and relatable feel to the story. Director and style: George Lucas directed combines humor, nostalgia, and a keen eye of details, capturing the spirit of the early 60s American. The film is notable for its realistic portrayals of teenage life, its icon soundtrack featuring hits from the era, and its memorable scans like the track race, the cruising scans, cultural impact. Americans graffiti is celebrated for its influence on filmmaking and its nostalgic represent of a bygone era. It was critically acclaimed and commercial successful, earning 5 Academy Award nominations, including Best Picture. Its portrayal of youth culture has made it a classic, inspiring many subsequent films about adolescence. Overall impressions: this film is heartfelt, humorous, and sometimes bittersweet snapshots of Americans' adolescence. It's an essential watch for fans of coming-of-age stories, 16th cultural and classic cinema. If you like, I can providing a more detailed review of discuss special aspect of the film. Certain has expanded and more detailed review of American Graffiti 1973. American American Graffiti 1973 in a depth review. American Graffiti is a seminal film that captures the essence of American youth and culture in the early 1960s, directed by George Lucas, who would later become famous for creating Star Wars. This film stands as a nostalgic, heartfelt tribute to adolescence, friendship, and fleeting nature of youth, released in 1973, the film not only proclaimed Lucas' career but also become a cultural touchstone, influencing generation of filmmakers and audience like plot and narrative structure. Set over the course of a single summer night in the small town of Modesto, California, American Graffiti used together multiple storylines centered around a group of teenagers of the brink of adulthood. The narrative follows Kurt Henderson's Richard Dreyfuss, a bright and ambitious high school senior who is preparing to leave for college. Kurt's storylines explore themes of ambition, sense, and the uncertainty too of the future as he grapples with the ideals of leaving behind his familiar surrounding Manuel, his best friend Steve, is somewhat rebellious and confident. Teen plans to pursue a different path, seeking adventure and excitement. Other characters include Terry, Candy Street Racers, and Bob Falfa, a rebellious outsider who arrives in town with a mysterious past. Throughout the night, these characters experience a series of events from crossing the streets, attending parties, of engaging in a romantic pursuit. The film structure is episodic, allowing viewers to immerse himself in each character's worldwide, maintaining an overarching sense of nostalgia and commentary themes and symbolize. Americans Graffiti delved deeply into themes of adolescence, identity, and sense. It captures the universal experience of growing up, first love, repressor, rebellions, and the desire for independence. The film portrays as transitional period where innocence begins to give way to experience, emphasizing the bittersweet nature of youth. The iconic car ride cruising sky symbolizing freedom and rebellion, serving as a mentorship for the teenagers' desire to explore and define oneself. The soundtrack, filled with his hits from the era like Buddy Holly, Berry, and the Beach Boys, reinforce this nostalgic mood and immerses viewers in the cultural landscape of early 1960s America, characters and performance. The film boasted a talented ensemble cast, many of whom were relatively known at the film time. Richard Dreyfuss delivers a compelling performance as Kurt, embodying the optimistic yet uncertain spirit of a young man facing the future. Ron Howard portrayal of Steve captures the rebellious yet vulnerable side of adolescence boldly matches Villeneuve is a standout, executing coldness and togetherness, embodying the archetype of the rebellious street race. And Clark portrayal of Terry adds emotional depth, highlighting the innocence and dreams of young woman Harrison Ford in his breakout role as Bob Alpha, bring a rugged charisma and a sense of danger that adds tension to the story. The performance as naturalistic and relatable, capturing the authenticity of teenage life. The actors' chemistry and the robot create a rebellious, believable portrayal of friendship and youthful camaraderie. Directions and cinematic style. George Lucas' direction is really observant, blending humor, mythology, and nostalgic seamlessly. The film's visual style is characterized by its nostalgic lighting, period specific costume, and realistic depictions of teenage life. Lucas' use of handheld cameras and look that enhance the film's intimate feel, allowing audience to feel like they are part of the scene. One of American Graffiti's most enduring legacy of its soundtrack. Rock and roll, its coat only sets the tunes but also act as a nostalgic time capsule. The music is integral or to the storytelling, evoking emotions and memories associated with the era. The film's influence extended beyond its narrative. It helped review interest in 1950s and early 1960s cultural and inspired countless movie and TV shows about youth and adolescence. Its portrayals of cruising culture, teenage rebellions, and the social dynamic become archetypes shaping the tapestry of American youth in popular media. Critical reception and legacy. Upon release, American Graffiti received widespread critical acclaim. It was praised for its portrayal of teenage life, its nostalgic tone, and its energetic storytelling. The film was nominated for 5 Academy Awards, including Best Picture, Best Director George Lucas, and Best Supporting Actors. It also achieved commercial success, grossing over $140 million worldwide, making it one of the highest-grossing films of 1973. Over the decades, American Graffiti has maintained its status Classic American cinema, it is frequently included in a list of the greatest film about youth and adolescence. Its influence can be seen in subsequent films that explore coming of age themes such as Daz and Confused and the Breaking Club. Final thought: American Graffiti is more than just a nostalgic. The bygones era it is a universal story about growing up, change, and the fleeting nature of youth. Its relatable characters, memorable scans, and iconic soundtrack continue to resonate with audience today. The film honest debut of teenage of Americans adolescents with warmth, humor, and poignancy. Whether you are interested in classic cinema, American history of story of youth and rebellious, American captive offers a compelling and timeless experience. It invites viewers to reflect on their own past charismatic moment in events. Whether you are interested in classic cinema, American history, or story of youth and rebellions, America, American Graffiti offers a compelling and timeless experience. It's invited viewers to reflect on their own. American Graffiti 1973, an existential and in-depth, most iconic film is American cinema, not only because of its nostalgic portrayals of youth, but also due to its groundbreaking approach to storytelling, characters development, and cultural commentary. Directed by George Lucas, this film is a masterful blend of comedy, drama, and poignant reflection on the transitional period of adolescence set against the backdrop of early 1960s Americans background and context. Before American Graffiti, George Lucas was primarily known for its work in television and experimental film. This project marked a significant shift in the career, allowing him to craft a personal and heartfelt story rooted in his own experience and observations of teen lives. The film was produced during a time when American cinema was beginning to explore more authentic and relatable story, moving away from traditional studio-driven narratives. Set in 1952, the film captured the pivotal moment in American history just before the social upheavals of the 1950s, the assassination of President John Kennedy, and the Vietnam War it influenced a period of innocence, optimism, and cultural innocence that was about to be lost, making youth nostalgic, memorable, and reflection on Vincent plot and narrative arcs. The film's narrative is intricately woven throughout multiple stories that unfold over one night in a small California town. Its structure is episodic but thematically unified, emphasizing the diversity of teenage experience and aspirations. Kurt Henderson's a bright and ambitious high school senior is preparing to leave for college. His story revolves around his eternal conflict about living behind the familiar comfort of his hometown and the girls he loves. Lewis caught in torn between excitement of the future and nostalgia for the past. Steve Wallander, Kurt's best friend, is more rebellious and confident, planning to leave for college as well. His story explores themes of independence, peer pressure, and romantic entanglement. John Miller, the tough straight racer, local legend, embodies teenage rebellions and Machino, his characters add gritty rebellious aids of the film. Terry the Todd, a sweet girl with dreams of stardom, provides a perspective on innocence and aspirations. Bob Falpa, the outsider and aggressive racer, introduces an element of danger can unpredictably culminating in a memorable drag race scans. Thought out the night sense characters experience pivotal moment, romance, blossoming friendship, tested and relatable about growing up. The film concludes with bittersweet farewells, emphasizing the transient nature of youth and the inevitable mass of time. Themes and symbolism. American Graffiti is rich in themes that resonate universally. Transition and change. The film captures the fleeting moment of adolescence that mark the transitions into adulthood. Characters grapple with living beyond childhood comfort and embracing the known. Nostalgic versus reality. While the film is a nostalgic ode to the early 1950s, it also acknowledges the complexity, introductions, and darker aspects of teenage life with pressure, rebellions, and the uncertainty of the future. Freedoms and rebellions, the cars cruising, scans, and street race symbolize the teenage desire for independence, rebellions against authority, and self-expansion. Music as cultural identity. The soundtrack is teenagers to the film's mood and authenticity, featuring hits by Woody Allen, Chuck Berry, and the Beach Boys, which serve as a cultural backdrop emotional anchor. American Identity. The film subtle explore Americans' ideals of freedom, opportunity, and the pursuit of happiness, set against the backdrop of small town life, character, and performance. The ensemble cast delivers performance that feels authentic and relatable, capturing the complexity of teenage emotions. Richard Dreyfuss as Hart Henderson delivers a nuanced portrayal of a young man balancing hope and nostalgic, embodying a universal fear of leaving comfort. John John Ro- Ron Howard as Steve Blender's offers a charismatic and layered performance, showcasing the rebellious spirit mixing the film with vulnerability. Paul Lee met as Jones Miller is an iconic figures youth confidence and slight conflict is scans, especially the track race, are among the film's most memorable. Candy Clark as Terry provides innocence and in longing, representing the drama dream and spirit of young women. Edison's who poured as Bob Alpha in his breakout roles, execute Rose masculinity and rebellious streak and tensions and excitement. The chemistry among the cast enhanced the film's release, making uh, their interaction feel genius and heartfelt. The performance elevates the film from a simple nostalgic piece to a period explore of adolescence, depth, cinematography, and style. Lucas Dex is characterized by its naturalistic approach, emphasizing realism and authenticity. His use of handheld cameras, long takes, and carefully composed shots draw views into the world of these teenagers, making them feel like active participants rather than passive observers. The cinematography captured the vibrant color of the era, neon signals, vintage cars, period costume, curtain visuals, embracing experience. The film's pacing balance moment of high energy like street race and parties with quiet introspective scan that deepens character development. The film tone essence between human nostalgia and melancholic reflections the complexity of teenage life. Lucas' directions of its esotericism instead options for a truthful depreciation that resonate with audience across generations, music and soundtrack. One of the defining elements of American Graffiti is its soundtrack, the carefully curated collection of 1950s and early 1960s hits fuel the film nostalgic atmosphere. Songs like Buddy Holy That We, The Day The day took Barry Jones' good and rich voice, surfing USA evoked the era's cultural zeitgeist. The music not only enhanced the mood but also fiction as narrative device underscoring emotional beat and characters movement. The soundtrack's popularity helped renew interest in the music of the early rock and roll eras and its influence persists today. Cultural impact and legacy. American Graffiti was both critical and commercial issue nominated for 5 Academy Awards and earning over $140 million 40 millions worldwide. Its influence extends beyond its immediately success, shaping the portrayal of youth culture in cinema. The film is credited with helping to launch the career of actors such as Harrison Ford and Ron Howard and inspiring a wave of nostalgic film and media about adolescence. Its honest appreciations of teenage life with a mix of humor and pathos set a new standard for coming of age storytelling. Wherever Americans Graffiti played a pivotal role in defining the aesthetic of 1950s Americans, influencing Western music and popular culture. It remains a cultural costume reference and portable in countless works. Critical reception over the year. Over the decades, the critics have praised American Graffiti for its authenticity, warmth, and cultural significance. It is frequently included in a list of the greatest combines of age film and American film of all times. Some critics have noted that the film's nostalgic to mask a deeper exploration of change, loss, and patience of time. Its universal themes continue to resonate with audience, making timeless. Final reflections. American Graffiti is more than just a nostalgic look at the early 1960s. It's a universal story about growth, change, and the ephemeral nature of youth. It's a combination of authentic performance. American Graffiti. The films invite viewers to reflect on their own youth memories and the inevitable passage of time. It celebrates the joy of adolescence, the friendship, romance, and adventure while unnoting the bittersweet reality that this moment are fleeting. In Scan's American Graffiti capture a moment in American history and in human experience and ode to youth freedom and enhance that table's level. American Graffiti remained one of the most influential films in American cinematic history. Celebrated for its authentic portrayal of youth, its nostalgic reviews for bygone era, and its pioneering storytelling techniques. Directed by George Lucas, this film is a cultural landmark that captures the universal experience of adultscape, friendship, and the inevitable transitions into adulthood, all set against the vibrant backdrop of early 1960s Americans' origins and context. Before American Graffiti, George Lucas was best known for his work in television and experimental filmmaking. The ideal for American Graffiti originated from Lucas' own teenage memorable and the desire to depict the innocence, rebellions, and cultural landscape of the early 1960s. The film was conceived during a period when Hollywood was origin and before American Graffiti. Lucas was best known for his work in television and experimental filmmaking. The ideal idea for American Graffiti originated from Lucas' own teenage memories and desire to depict the innocence, rebellions, and cultural landscape of the early 1960s. The film was conceived during a period when Hollywood was increasingly interested in story that reflects real life and authentic youth experience, moving away from the more sanitized of theatrical portrayal in earlier decades. Set in 1962, the film captured a moment just before the social upheaval of the mid 1960s before the Vietnam War. Civil rights portrays the Cultural Revolution, marking in as both a nostalgic memories and reflections. Narrative structure and plot summary. The film narrative is a type of intersected story that unfold over one samurai night in a typical small California town. Is a nostalgic structure allow allow viewers to experience a broad spectrum of typical small teenage life, from the accelerating to the wounded, creating a textile or adults can experience key storylines including Kurt Henderson's high saving optimistic teen preparing to leave for college. His internal conflict revolves around the fear of leaving behind his childhood and the girl he loves. Lewis Kurt's journey embodies of and uncertainly uh, the future, capturing the universal anxiety about teenage. Stephen Ballender cuts a charismatic best friend who is more rebellious and conflict. Steve's storyline explores themes of independence, peer pressure, and romantic engagement, including his relationship with Lewis and his interactions with other characters. John Milner, the third streetwise legend of the town's a rebellious figure with a love for speed and machinalism. His character embodies the rebellious spirit of adult skins, and his skins, especially the drag, serve as iconic moment of the film. Terry the toad says sweet girls with aspiration of stardom. His story reflects innocence, innocence, longing, and the desire to break free from the small town confidence. Bob Falpa, the outsider and rebellion's unpredictable racer, his character adds tension and danger, culminating is memorable Dreyfuss scans that symbolizing youthful reckless thought out the night tense characters navigates moment, romantic pursuit, confrontations, moment of self-discovery and fribbles. The film is skin that symbolizing youthful reckless thought out the night teen. This characters navigates a pivotal moment, romantic pursuit, confrontations, moment of self-discovery and travels. The film culminates in emotional goodbye and realizations about the fleeting nature of youth, emphasizing that these moments are both precious and important themes and symbolizing American graffiti is layered with themes that resonate across generations. The passage of youth, of time and nostalgic, the film is a heartfelt ode youth capturing the innocence and optimism of the early 1960s, yet it also acknowledges the bittersweet reality that this moment are infamous childhood giving way to adulthood, rebellions, and freedom, and the act of driving and racing becomes a metaphor for rebellions and the pursuit of identity. Identity and the self-discovery is character. Era music underscore emotional moment and help stabilize cultural context, America's dreams and society. The film subtitle examines themes of opportunity, success, and social experience as against the backdrop of the American small town. It reflects both the optimism and the limitations of the Americans' dream during this period. Characters and performance. The cast performance are naturally are and heartfelt contributing of the film authenticity. Richard Dreyfuss as Kurt Henderson offer a nice portrayal of youth vulnerability and fear of change. His journey from optimism to a more mature outlook, escaping the film's core message. John Robert as Steve Blender execute from charm, rebellious, and emotional depth, embodying the conflict teenage vacues between childhood and adulthood. Paul Lamet as John Milner stands out as a symbol of teenage rebellion, cool, confident yet complex beneath the surface, especially in his poignant moment of vulnerability. Candice Clark as Terry Conway, innocence and aspirations, serving as a mirror of the hope and the fear of many young women of the era. Harrison's fought in his breakout roles as Bob Walfa, bringing a Rouge, Christmas and rebellious streak that energetic the film his characters intellectually, the unpredictability and depth and tensions, the charismatic among the cast members enhance the film's realism, making the portrayal of teenage embroidered romance and confidence feel genius and relatable. Direction, cinematography, and style. George Lucas, director, is masterful, emphasizing realism and emotional truth. His use of handheld cameras, long takes, and naturalistic light creators as immersive experience, making viewers feel like participants. His characters live the cinematography captures the vibrant colors and lectures the early 1960s neon sequence vintage cast period costume adding aesthetic and visual appeals. The film pacing balance vividly scans of cruising and partnering with quieter introspective moment that deepens character development. Lucas approached avoiding sensationalism instead of opting for a truthful description of teenage life that resonated across generations. The film's visual style combined with its authentic dialogues and performance creates a timeless portrayal of adults. Music and sound. The soundtrack. The soundtrack is arguably one of the most iconic elements of American graffiti. It features a collection of rock and roll hits that evoke the spirit of the era, including Buddy Holly's "That's a Be the Day", Chuck Berry Jones' "We Got", The Beach Boys' "Surfing USA", Del Shannon "Runaway", The Reviewers' "California Suns". The music not only sets the mood but also acts as a narrative device, underscoring emotional speed and characters' moment. It helps transport viewers back in time, reinforcing the film's nostalgic tones, cultural impact, and legacy. American Graffiti was both a critical and commercial phenomenon. It received 5 Academy Award nominations, including Best Picture and Best Director, and grossed over $140 million worldwide, making it one of the highest grossing film of 1973. Its influence extends far beyond its immediate succeed. The film revealed interest in the cultural, the music of the early 1960s inspired a wave of coming of age film and TV series, helped launch the career of actors like Harrison Ford, Howard and Richard Dreyfuss shaped the distributions of teenage life in cinema, emphasizing authenticity over stereotype. Moreover, American graffiti became a cultural touchstone, referenced and quoted in countless work. Is also a portal of proving cultural young love and rebellion has become part of the collection's conclusions. Critical critical representations and enduring relevance. Over the decades, critics have launched American graffiti for its warmth, authenticity, and cultural insight. It stands as a testament of the universality of adult scans capturing of emotions that transit time and place. Its themes of change, nostalgic, and bittersweet news of growing have continued to resonate with audience today. The film's ability to evoke fond memories while acknowledging the pain of pain, parting and loss give its timeless appeal. Personal reflection and conclusions. American Graffiti is more than just a nostalgic trip. It is a profound explore of youth, identity, and transitions. Its blend of humor, patterns, and realism creates a movie that's both entertaining and emotionally impactful. The film's honest portrayal of teenage of life combined with its iconic soundtrack and masterful direction ensuring its place as a cornerstone of American cinema. It invites viewers to reflect on their own past reflecting moments and understanding that will youth many past and memories and lessons endure. American Graffiti remains a universal story of celebrating of the innocence, rebellion, and dreams that defines us all. American Graffiti 1993, an unparalleled in-depth and exhaustive analysis. American Graffiti stands as one of the most influential, beloved, and critically acclaimed films in the history of American cinema, more than just a nostalgic reflection on youth. The early 90s imbued a sense of innocence, rebellion, hope, and individual sense. This comprehensive analysis delves into every phase of the films from its origins, narrative structure, thematic richness, character development, stylistic choice, cultural impact, and enduring legacy. Prepare on for an existence journey into one of cinema's most iconic works. Origin, context, and cultural backdrop. Historical and cultural setting. Set in the summer of 1962, Americans dream optimistic winners. This was a period marked by post-war property, the rise of Danish consumer culture, and growing popularity of rock and roll music. It was an era before the Vietnam War and social upheaval profoundly altered the American landscape, a time often idealized and as simple and more innocent. George Lucas, for personal inspirations, Lucas drew heavily from his own teenage Americans growing up his Modesto, California. The film is in many ways a semi-autobiographical ode to his youth, inspired by great memories of cruising it in cars, listening to the radio in navigating the tumult of adulthood. Narrative structure and plot dynamics. Episodic yet interwoven. The film's narrative unfolds over one summer, her night viewing together multiple character arcs that highlighting different aspects of teenage life. This structure allows the viewers to experience a broad spectrum of emotions and experience romance, rebellion, friendship, and the fear of change for characters and their journey. Kurt Henderson's Richard Dreyfuss, a bright, optimistic, and rebellious teen who is striving to leave for college. His internal conflict revolves around the fear of leaving behind his hometown, his friendship, and the girls he loves. Lewis. His journey is about acceptance and understanding that sense is innovation and that growth involves both loss and hope. Steve Blender, Howard Cruz, pessimistic and friendship who is more rebellious and confident. His storyline explored themes of independence, fear, pressure, and romantic pursuit, including his competent relationship with Luris and his flirting with rebellions. John Milner, the quintessential teenage rebels, a street racer, a tall Kai and a local legend, his characters embodies machination, bravado, and vulnerability, especially in moment revealing his deeper emotional struggles. Terry the Ted, uh, sweet girls with big dreams, her story embodies innocence, aspiration, and the universal desire to find one's place in the world. Falfa, an outsider and a rebellious, unpredictable street racer, his characters introduce tension, danger, and the thrills of youthful reckless, culminating in the film's iconic drag race. Throughout the night, the characters encounter provincial moment, romantic confusion, and heartbreak, street rage confirmations, moment of self-awareness, and travels. The climax revolves around realizations that adolescence is fleeting and the fu- future is both exciting and uncertain. Themes symbolize and cultural significance. Nostalgia and the passage of time. The film is a central theme in nostalgia, an ode to a simple, more innocent era. The wide appreciation of cruising travel in theater and vintage cars evoke launching for youth fleeting moment. Yet Lucas also subtly critique his nostalgic, noticing the imperfections, the contradictions of the period, rebellions and freedom, caste cruising and street race symbolizing teenage rebellions and accused for independence. The act of driving becomes a metaphor for self-determination, the defense of authority, and the pursuit of identity, innocence, and the truth. The character journeys mirror the universal transitions from childhood innocence to adult awareness. Their struggles with love, friendship, and self-discovery reflect the complex process of maturing music and cultural memory. The soundtrack is integral, featuring hits success and the American dream itself questions whether the promise of happiness and achievement is attainable for everyone. Character analysis and performance is authenticity. Performance are the visual elements that elevate the film. Ron Howard as Steve Valentine, Howard Christmas and layered performance embody a rebellious yet sensitivity in graphic with change and independence is a Christmastic with other character adds a depth and a humor who eliminate as John Smiler makes portrayals of the youth streetwise ripples is iconic, especially in the dark drag race sketch beneath the bravado lies a complex character grappling with loneliness and the desire for connections. Candy Clark's as Terry Clark's performance embodied innocence, longing, and hope. Her character's journey highlighting the importance of dream and the courage to pursue them. Harrison Ford as Falfa Ford breakout roles as the rebellious outsider is electrifying. His intense, unpredictable presence injects energy and tension into the narrative's ensemble dynamics. The cat's chemistry creates a believable epic setting of teenage chemtrail as romance, making the relationship feel genius and emotionally resonant. Direction, cinematic style, and visual aesthetics. So Lucas directions. Lucas employs a naturalistic style, emphasizing realism or stylizing his use of handheld cameras, long take, and minimalistic lighting creates an intimate, immersive experience. The director focuses on authentic dialogue, spontaneous moment, and character-driven storytelling sets American Graffiti apart. Cinematography, uh, shot by Bill Butler, the cinematography captured the vibrance of the period, glowing neon signs, vintage cars, period costume was meticulously details the visual style, emphasizing a sense of palace and time, making the viewers feel transported back to in the early 1960s. Editing and pacing. The editing balance energetic scans, tea dress dance parties with contemplative covetous movement. The pacing allows viewers to savor characters' interpretations, enhancing momentum, impact, style, and atmosphere. The film's tunes oscillating between human nostalgic and melancholic reflections, complex emotional of adolescence. Lucas' streetwise style avoid melodrama, pairing subtle and authenticity. Soundtrack and audio designs. The soundtrack influence on the film tone is profound sections of period specific song not only sets the mood but also functions as an emotional cue for viewers, evoking memorable and feeling associated with youth. The use of diegetic music that characters her and interact with enhanced realism. For example, characters signing along to the radio or music playing at the drivens in create a wide sense of atmosphere. The sound design complements the visuals and with the engine through street noise and ambient sound, immersing viewers into the scenes. Cultural impact, reception, and legacy. Critical receptions upon release, American Graffiti was both a critical and commercial success. It garnered 5 Academy Award nominations, including Best Picture and Best Director, and grosses $114 million worldwide, an enormous achievement for a coming-of-age film. Influence on cinema and culture. The film revolutions the portrayals of youth culture on screen by emphasizing authenticity and now is inspiring numerous subsequent film and TV series such as Days and Confused. Revival on 1950s and 1950s nostalgia, the film soundtrack sparked a revival of interest in early rock and roll music, influencing fashion, music, and popular cultural enduring legacy. Today, American Graffiti remains a touchstone for nostalgic authenticity and the universal coming of age story. Its influence extends beyond cinema into broader cultural memory, critical reproachal, and enduring relevance. Over the decades, critics have celebrated American Graffiti for its warmth, realism, and cultural insight. It's frequently ranked among the greatest coming of age films and American film of all time. Its themes of change, memory, and youth continue to resonate, making it timeless. Personal reflection and a final thought. American Graffiti is a cinematic treasure, a heartfelt, honest, and beautiful crafted ode to youth, freedom, and the inevitable march of time. It captured the universal truth that built moment of innocence and joy are fleeting. They leave an indelible mark on our lives. The film blend of humor, pathos, and authenticity, insecure. It's a palace as a classic, inspiring filmmakers, music and audience alike in to remind us to carry the fleeting moment of youth, innocence, and hold into memories that shape who we are. American Graffiti, an ultimate, exhaustive, and profound sections. American Graffiti is not merely a film, it is an enduring cultural affiliate. Lucas, this groundbreaking film redefines the coming of age genre and set new standard for authenticity, nostalgia, and emotional depth in cinema. This is depth exploring aims to desert every phase of American Graffiti, its origins, narratives, indirect cinematic research, stylistic innovations, cultural significance, and its profound legacy, and to provide a comprehensive understanding on of Wayne remains our towering achievement film history, origins, context. Origin, context, and historical backdrop. The personal roots of George Lucas' early life experience profoundly shaped American graffiti. Growing up in Modesto, California, Lucas was immersed in the burgeoning teenage culture of the late 1950s and early 1960s, cruising in cars, listening to rock and roll, attending drive-in theaters, and dreaming for freedom and adventure. These memories become the foundation for the film, authentic portrayals of adolescence, cultural and social cinema of the early 1960s. The film is set in 1962, a pivotal years before the tumultuous social affairs of the mid 1960s. America was experiencing post-war perspective that the rise of youth culture and booming most the era was characterized by optimism, consumerism, and a burning rebellion spirit among teenagers to carve out their identity. Hollywood changing landscape. During the early 1970s, Hollywood was undergoing a revolution. Filmmaking like Martin Scorsese's franchise Ford Coppola and other emphasize realism, characters, complexity, social themes. American Graffiti allied with this movement by compromise authenticity our spectacles editors capitalize on the era as cultural shift. The narrative or tapestry of a youthful moment. Structure, composition. The film is narrative is in interconnected music of multiple storyline that unfold over one summer night. The episode created social structure allows you to experience diverse aspects of teenage life, emphasizing the universally and devastating of adolescence characters arcs, their symbolism. Kurt Anderson's at optimistic ambition teenage Terry the Todd, the shared dream filled Kurt's longing for standard, innocent, and aspirations, fighting them of hope and the desire to escape small town life. Bob Falfa, the outsider and the rebels who introduce tension and danger, culminating in the iconic drag race and symbolizing youthful provincial moment. Cursing and car culture, the film usually depicts teenage cursing in a vintage car embodying freedom, status, and rebellion. Themes can serve as both a social and a metaphor for youth's desire for independence, romantic encounters, romantic pursuit, and Heartbreaking private the narrative emphasizing youthful passions and vulnerability, street race, the eternal few drag race between John, saying goodbye, acknowledging that emphasizing the bittersweet nature of growing up, thematic depth and cultural significance, nostalgic and illusion of the past. American Graffiti expectantly balances nostalgic with the recognition of the imperfections of the era. The film celebrates the innocence and joy of youth family, subtle acknowledging its challenge and contrasts, rebellions and source of identity. Cars, music, and street racing symbolize teenage rebellions. The act of driving becomes a metaphor for independence, self-expense, and defense and authority, transitions, and growth. The character journey mirrors the universal transition from childhood innocence to adult awareness. The narrative underscores that change is inevitable and growth often innovates pain, loss, and acceptance. Music as a emotional and cultural anchor, the soundtrack featuring longing. Iconic hits from Buddy, Holly, Chuck Berry, The Patch Boy, and other serve as a sonic time capture, evoke The Patch Boy and other serve as a sonic time capture, growing after innovating and playing noise and accepting music as emotional and cultural anchor. The soundtrack featuring iconic hits from Buddy Holly, Chuck Berry, Beach Boys, and other serve as a sonic time capsule. It evoked the era spirit, enhanced emotional resonance, and reinforced cultural memory. The American Dream and Society. A soundtrack featuring iconic hits from Buddy Holly, Chuck Berry, The Beach Boy, and other serve as a sonic time capsule. It evoked the era's spirit, enhanced emotional resonating. It reinforced cultural memory, the Americans' dreams and society. The film subtly examines social expectations, embodies and the elusive nature of happiness and success educations, whether the ideally life of small town American is truly influencing of really comforting characters, depth, performance, and symbolism. The assembled cast Richard Dreyfuss as Kurt Anderson delivers a announced performance capturing optimism and vulnerability of a boy on the verge of adulthood. His internal conflict, adult living, resolved replays on Ron Howard as Steve Blunder embodied charm and rebellion, balancing humor with the emotional depth. Paul Lambert as John Miller is memorable as the Town rebel in Candy Clark as Terry conveying innocence and aspirations embodying the hopes of many young women of the era. Harrison's Ford in his breakout role as Wolfalfa, bringing intensity, unpredictability, and charisma injections energy into the narratives, character interactions, and relationship. The charisma among the cast creates a believable and relatable portrayal of teenage friendship and romance. Their interactions, fighting themes of loyalty, love, competitions, and vulnerability. Cinematic style, direction, and visual aesthetics. George Lucas directions style emphasizing using a natural lighting and resonating moment to create an immersive experience is emphasizing on authentic dialogues and driven storytelling destruction. Uh, Contribute productions cinematography shot by Bill Butler. The cinematography captured the vibrant color period days and Gothic energy of the era. The visual aesthetic is meticulous, crafted with shots of neon sign, vintage cars, and period consume impressive views in the early 1960s. Editing and pacing. The editing balance painted sense of cruising and racing with slower introspective movement, allowing emotional depth to develop naturally. Style and atmosphere. The film's tone oscillation between humor, nostalgic, and poignant, recurrent, and complex emotions of adolescence, Lucas, and restraint style avoid melodrama, favoring subtlety and authenticity, music, sound design, and cultural impact. Iconic soundtrack. The soundtrack is integral, featuring songs like Buddy Holly's That Be Day, Date, and the Beach Boys. Suffering USA, this track evokes the spirit of the era and underscore emotional moment. Soundtrack. Ambient sound designs, roads, street noise, radio setup create an impressive environment reinforcing the film's realism. Cultural Ripples effect. The film soundtrack ignited a renewed interest in early rock and roll influenced fashion, music, and pop culture. I revived The popularity of many 1950s and 1960s its critical reception award and legacy. Initial receptions American Graffiti was both a critical and a commercial film crossing over $150 million worldwide. It received 5 Academy Award nominations, including Best Picture and Best Director. It plays on cinemas and societal. The film revolving the poetry of youth, cultural inspiring. Film and TV shows dazzled and confused superhead and 1670s, so it's helped launched the career of Harrison Ford, Rose Howardson, and other revival of nostalgia. The movie sparked a wave of nostalgia of the early 1960s, influencing fashion, music, and cultural attitude. Enduring popularity decades later, American Graffiti remains trusting of American cinema study for its deeper analysis, scans, and more motifs and symbolism. The opening scan cruising in the cars. The film opens with the montage of teenage cruising in vintage cars, symbolizing freedom, rebellion, and social hierarchy, and the cars themselves find credence in music. Muscle cars are symbol of status, identity, and American dreams. The drag race on Miles versus Bob Falfa is iconic scans optimize youthful bravado and the allure of danger. It also symbolizing the fleeting nature of teenage rebellion. As, as characters prepare to leave, to collapse, or move on, scans of goodbyes evoke a universal truth. Youth transient and sense is inevitable. These moments are imbued with both hope and melancholy, emphasizing transient beauty of adolescence, thematic and cultural significance, and contemporary context. American Graffiti continue to resonate, become it taps into universal truth about change and memory. Its themes are timeless and its portrayals of adults kept remains authentic decades after its release. The film is influence extended beyond cinema and into broader cultural domains, music, fashion, and social attitude, making it a foundation piece of American cultural history, final reflection and appearance. American Graffiti is more than a film, it's a cultural movement that captures the skills of youth, that bitter sweetness of growing up, and the enduring power of memory. It's a masterful storytelling, authentic performance, and iconic soundtrack create a timeless mercy of American adolescence. It reminds us that youth may pass the memories, lessons, and dreams we fall during those formative years. Accept who we are. Its enduring legacy lies in its ability to evoke nostalgic will also acknowledging the invisible mass of change, a universal truth continue to resonate. American Graffiti 1973, the definitive in depth and efficient examinations of American Graffiti stand as a flowering mountain in the American cinema, an authentic, nostalgic, and emotionally resonant portal of youth change and cultural identity. Directed by George Lucas, it is a film that only captures a specific moment in cinema but also explores universal themes of growing up, learning, rebellion, and memory. This comprehension practice mountain in American cinema. This comprehensive trade aims to design every element of the films, its origins, narrative, trackism, thematic layers, stylized cultural implications, and enduring legacy, and provide an plain understanding of why it remains a seminal work is cinematic history, origins, history, context, and cultural backdrop. The personal genesis George Lucas' childhood and teenage years in Modesto uniform Americans graffiti his fond memories of cruising in cars, listening to rock and roll, attentive dance in the theater, and dreams of adventure found the core inspirations for the film's authentic dissipation of adolescence. Lucas' own youthful experience intertwined with his desire to preserve his innocence of that era drove him to create a film that was both personal and universal. This screenplay initially drew from Lucas' memorable and was co-written with Mario Puzo, emphasizing the authentic of teenage. Set in 1962, the film capturing a pre-Vietnam War Americans of the cusp of social upheaval, the post-war property, and the rise of teenage consumer culture and the emergence of mob and rural music created a fertile grounded for youth rebellions, identity formations, and the cultural experimentations. The film period was characterized by a sense of optimism, innocence, and hope of the future, and beneath the surface, love and understanding of change, social tension, political unrest of generations divides that about soon receives Americans Hollywood and the new wave of cinema. In the early 1970s, Hollywood experienced a resistance. Directors like Martin Scorsese, Francis Ford Coppola, and others pushed boundaries with more realistic, character-driven stories. American Graffiti aligned with this movement by emphasizing a silence of life approach authenticity and cultural appreciation, breaking away from the more stylized and formalistic Hollywood production of previously decades. The narrative and introvert tapestry of youthful moment, structure, competitive, and style. The film employs as an episodic narrative style conveying a single night in the lives of a spectrum of experience, romance, rebellion, friendship, fear, and the narrative Hurt Anderson's the optimistic dreams poised to leave for challenge. His internal journey revolves around confronting mortality and change. Its desire to hold on to youth while accepting that growing